All right.
All
Uh,
right.
Welcome to Duck Boys Podcast.
And welcome to episode number 4. And you
Quattro.
might notice that something is a little different today.
Yeah, rather than
Yeah.
two of us, there's three of us.
There's 3 of us, Duck Boys, and an honorary boy.
Yeah. I'm Tristan.
I'm Sam, and this is.
I'm Sharon.
There she is.
All right. Yeah, Sharon is a good friend of ours, and she's offered to come on the podcast with us, which is super exciting because she's our first official guest. Aside from being our friend, she has an IQ that's bigger than both of us combined. So we're gonna try and keep up with her and make it a fun podcast.
Yeah. We're trying not to sound too dumb.
Y'all are boosting my ego.
All right.
All right.
So what are we drinking to start, as per usual?
I'm drinking a Dos Equis because it's my go-to drink.
All right, good stuff. Sharon, what have you got?
I have a watermelon White Claw.
Oh, yes.
A classic. And then I was falling asleep, but I also want to get feeling a little lit, but need to wake up too. So I've got coffee with Bailey's. So
There we go.
we'll have a good time.
All right.
I guess let's get the shit rolling. Why are we clinking? We'll start with Sharon, actually. I want to start with her first.
Ladies first.
Okay, so there's this coffee chain that's, mostly on the West Coast called Dutch Bros. And they opened up like their first ever location in Texas in College Station.
Oh, shit.
Which was really nice. And yeah, and I'm from the Bay, so this was like really nice for me. I was very, very happy about it. And so when I went yesterday, they gave me a free coffee with like a little coupon thing. So I was really happy about that. So yeah, that's why I am clinking.
Do you have like a card from the Bay that says like, "Hi, I'm from the Bay. Give me free shit"? Like, is that like why did you?
They had oh,
They just know.
you got to like sign up for their text service, and they let me do it. And so your first like text that you get or whatever, you get a free drink. So I got a free caramel iced latte, and it was very nice.
I can cling to that.
Yeah,
Everybody
cling to
that.
free drinks. Cling
There
to
you
free
go.
drinks.
All right.
Hell yeah. I saw that one of my other buddies that lives in the College Station area, Logan. I don't know if you're watching this podcast, but he posted some stuff to his story about Dutch Bros coming. He was super excited about it too.
Maybe the Dutch Bros and the Duck Boys need to do a little collaboration.
We'll work something out.
We'll work something out. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll have our people talk to your people.
Yeah. That mainly being probably Sharon.
Right. Can you...
Oh shit. Oh.
I got you all.
We're back.
Tristan.
Hello. Sorry, I froze up.
Oh my god. What?
I froze for a second.
Are you blowing on your mic?
No. Is everything okay? Hello.
I think so.
All right.
Hello.
All right. Go ahead and reintroduce. I guess mine. I'll just cut this part.
Okay. Good shit.
So go ahead and
Tristan, what's some good shit that happened with you today or last week or whenever?
All right. So this one I've been holding on to. I really wanted to tell Sam because Sam and I talk to each other pretty much every day. So the other day I went to get coffee with my friend Raven, and Addie came with me, and it was really cool. And Raven was like, "Fuck yeah, I got a match." And I was like, "Raven, you have a boyfriend?" And she's like, "Yes, I know, but now I have a sugar daddy." And I was like, "Word?" And she's like, "Word." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And she like showed me the website and everything. And like Addie was like, "So you're gonna get on that shit?" Like to me. And I was like, "Are you kidding?" And she's like, "No." So I am now officially attempting to be a sugar baby. I signed up for the website and everything.
Fucking cheers, dude. Oh my god. Are you specifically shooting for sugar mamas or are you swinging both ways?
No, sugar mama is like I can't be like I can't take that edge away from the LGBTQ community. So I'll keep in my lane as a straight man.
Hey, I
Right,
see no
right.
discrimination here. I will make money off of I will make money off of straight people, gay people, it doesn't matter.
Con men see no lines.
No honor among thieves.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's he told me about this morning. He started to. He said, "Nope, I'm gonna wait." I said, "It better be good," and fucking delivered.
oh, I was hoping I stood up to expectations.
Good
Thank
shit.
you.
Good shit. So I guess that leaves me. Kind of a funny story that leads into this. This sounds bad to start, but it ends really well for me. So I have a dog. His name is Gus. Gus is very big. Gus is 140 pounds, but I love him. Gus sleeps with me sometimes, and he has been recently in that bed right there. And this morning, 6:45 a.m., I guess he rolled over in his sleep, so he and I are facing each other. I'm dead asleep. 6:45 in the morning, just he smacks me with his paw straight in the face in his sleep. Wakes me up, and I'm like, "What the fuck, dude? Ow!" And as I'm holding my nose, still recovering, I get a Twitter notification. I've been trying to get a PS5 for fucking ever. I apparently suck at this. Um, Twitter notified me like the moment after Gus smacked the shit out of me. Hey, Target's in stock. I'm like, word. So I scored one this morning. Went and
Oh
picked it up.
yeah.
Plugged. I feel like a kid on
Yeah.
Christmas. I am so unbelievably excited for somebody who is a grown ass man.
See, I
But
was on the phone with him as he was driving to Fort Worth to go get it, and I, although it was early in the morning, he was so happy. I have never heard Sam that happy so early. Most of the time, it's like he sounds like fucking corpse, but like his voice is that low, but it's like corpse, but
Oh,
like depressed, and he's just talking about just random shit and being like, man, I wish that I could, just skip off the edge of the world. But this today it was like today it was like, dude, I am driving and just driving to go get my PlayStation and I am a child. And I was like, it's okay. I'm a child too.
I am. I embraced my inner kid. I was so happy. I didn't even have coffee this morning. I I woke up without the assistance of caffeine, which miracle.
Miracle.
Absolute miracle. And it all started
called
with Gus smacking the shit out of my face.
Thanks, Gus.
So cheers to Gus.
Cheers to
Cheers to Gus.
Gus.
All right. So all good things all around. I guess then what we're gonna do today for whoever may be watching at whatever time, today is January the 20th of 2021, which means a new president was inaugurated today.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's a thing that happened, a very historical moment for the United States of America.
Yeehaw.
Um, I guess we'll ask what our impressions were of that. I actually have a kind of funny story about that, but I'll let Tristan go first because he was actually watching it. So
Yeah, while Sam was like being all giddy and shit about PlayStation, I was watching, history. And uh I guess Lady Gaga was there at some point. I was walking Felicity while like Lady Gaga was performing, and I came back in when JLo was performing, and I was like, what in the fucking AMA awards did I just walk into? And I mean, it was all great. I liked it. They had whatever Keith Urban or whatever the fuck his name was.
Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Whatever the fucking country white dude it was, I don't know, one of them.
Honestly, a highlight for me was seeing George Bush. I love George Bush just because he's funny.
Every time I see George Bush, I can only think about the time is shortly after the occurrence of 9/11 that they interviewed him on the golf course. He was like, terrorism is a threat that will be dealt with directly, swiftly, and efficiently. Now watch this drive. And he just smacks the fuck out of a golf ball. God bless W.
Yeah, favorite W moment is definitely I think it's just like I think he was like lack of sleep or some shit because a lot of things were happening, and he was asked by some reporter like really quickly like, "Sir, what are we gonna do about Katrina?" He's like, "We're gonna find her," and then it just kept walking like just so confidently, bro.
I know there's a saying in Texas. I think it's from Tennessee, but I know it's in Texas too.
Fool me.
Fool, fool me. Fool me once. Shame on you. But you fool me, you can't get fooled again. That is still one of the coldest samples, I think, of all time. J. Cole really went dirty on that, and I still love that.
But anyways, enough about George W.
And J. Cole.
And J. Cole. Sharon, inauguration moment.
I think favorite inauguration moment was looking at the fits by far.
Oh.
I just want to say that Natalie Biden really popped off in her monochromatic fit, which is actually interesting because I don't know if you guys looked at everyone's outfits because y'all are guys.
Nah, bro. Of course I was. You know me.
So, so Jill Biden and Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton all wore purple. And the significance of that is, purple is, like a color of royalty, but it's also purple is also a color that is synonymous with the women's suffrage movement other than white. So those are like the two colors that are synonymous with that. So it was pretty interesting to see that symbolism being represented in the inauguration today. So
very cool. Yeah. No, there were some filthy fits today.
Oh, Michelle, my girl Michelle, bro.
Shout out to the former first lady.
Jesus. Damn. Shout out to Barack. Good for you, brother.
Also, did anybody catch the dude in the background that was wearing the Dior ones? What the fuck?
No. Wait.
Bro, if you look it up, there's a dude in the background while these people are being sworn. He's on the steps and he's got the fresh as fuck Dior ones.
Dior
fresh
ones
as
fuck. Hold up. Let me see. Images. Oh, yes, sir.
And all that's on screen is just his feet. He knew exactly where he was going to be. And he said,
his name is Nicholas Ajugo, or Ajugu.
Fucking
my man. Oh yeah, he had the kid who had like a tiger, it looked like a liger print like jacket. I saw it earlier. I thought he was just holding somebody's jacket, but like apparently it's his kid.
Oh. Well, cool.
My man looks like
lots of fresh fits.
My man looks like Will Smith and Drake had a child.
Stop.
Like if you just look up Dior One's inauguration, you'll see him, and he looks like Will Smith and Drake had a love child.
Other solid moments from the inauguration. Me not having watched it when it happened, because I looked it up online because I don't know. I had other more pressing matters this morning than the shifting of the entire future of the nation. I was on PlayStation. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I looked it up and they were like, yeah, inauguration will be at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I was like, oh, cool. And then I was talking to Tristan and I was like, hey, man, crazy that like we're 2 minutes away from the inauguration. He was like, bro, it happened like 8 minutes ago. And I sent him a screenshot. I was like, no, bro, see right here, 11 a.m. And he was like, I'm watching it right now. It happened like 8 minutes ago.
I texted him. I was like, Sam, I'm watching it right now, dude.
Meanwhile, I am a fucking child just sitting in the chair like, it seems I've missed the passing of the torch. Oh well. But I did see the fucking Bernie looking like he had no business being there. Like it was the biggest fucking inconvenience to him.
I told Addie, I was like, man, Bernie's just a socialist Squidward, bro. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Bernie Sanders is just socialist old man Squidward.
I want nothing more than to hear Squidward lines said in Bernie's voice. Future.
Oh my god, yes.
No, the memes are really funny. I saw some shit about like I gotta go to the grocery store after this.
Yeah,
Like
like
some of us have jobs.
some of us have jobs.
That's
If there's one thing that we can always count on for Americans, it's creating memes out of either the best or worst situations.
no moment is too sacred. No moment too significant to not be memed on. So yeah, I just wanted to do a real quick, I guess, recap about like what y'all felt about the inauguration, because y'all might have better opinions than me, seeing as I didn't see it when it happened. Whatever. um, but the magic, I guess, we'll sort of start shifting into our next segment here. The magic of having a guest on is getting to ask them questions that they probably have better answers to than we do.
Yep.
Um,
We have
so
shitty. We're the living proof of there's no stupid questions. We're gonna ask stupid questions. And then
All
also,
right. Oh,
I've also heard there's no stupid answers, and we're here to debunk that.
we're here to test that.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, Tristan, do you have some questions lined up, or you want me to go on?
You go first because mine are more broad, and I think can either be shorter or longer depending on however you want to answer. And then we can wind it down after mine, I guess.
All right, good shit. So Sharon and I actually spoke a couple days ago. I needed to get some information clarified so I could frame my questions out a little bit better. Sharon, correct me if I'm wrong at any point. So you're graduating May of this year, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I am.
Okay.
Congrats.
Public health major.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and then wants to work in law for ACLU, possibly, right?
Yes, that
Okay.
is the goal.
Okay, good. Okay, that's just sort of setting the preface for our viewers why I asked some of the questions that I might. Having that public health background, I was a public health major at one point. I'm still within the healthcare field, but I've shifted over a little bit more to rehabilitation studies. But I wanted to know for somebody who's stuck with that and is about to graduate with that, um, what it's like for a student you're actively studying this right now and you're watching one of the largest public health events of our lifetime unfold in real time. What does that look like from your perspective? Is it sort of studying side by side as this is unfolding, what could have been done to prevent it and vice versa?
So, yes, it is incredibly interesting to see how this plays out. It all comes down to healthcare policies of each country being different. You've seen how differently each country has handled the situation, considering it's everywhere, it is a pandemic. Um, so I think that public health is something that should be taken a lot more seriously. And I think it's very unfortunate that the US has not taken preventative measures in regards to containing it, because you've seen a lot of other countries handle it a lot better than us. But I think it all comes down to what each country's priorities are, and it should be public health because it affects people a lot more than, I guess, now we're realizing that it affects people like a lot more than we realized. So it is interesting to see it played out because the stuff that you learn in class, and it's just like, why is that not being implemented right now? Like, for what reason? So I think that it's a very, very unique perspective to have. So yeah, there's my take on that.
The
So
answers probably feel kind of obvious when you're having them taught to you in class, right? You're like, well, why doesn't everybody else know
Yeah.
this?
so I have a question. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the answer because that it's probably a lot of research. I don't even know if the research has been done with places with like free healthcare. Have we seen like better results there, or are they about the same? I mean, I'm guessing what, like, I guess for comparison, at least like landmass and kind of population size. would be like Canada or our northern neighbor. I don't know how it is out there. I know it's a totally different climate as well since it's very cold up there. So I don't know if you know the answer to that, but have you heard anything?
Um, so I haven't heard anything too much about Canada just because I haven't read into it too extensively. But from what I do know about Canada is that their social distancing guidelines are a lot better than ours. They are being enforced pretty strictly. And overall, just like the citizens of the nation itself are just following the mandates like better, for lack of a better word. Um, they're just doing it more adequately. And I think that the law enforcement there also is really cracking down on like home gatherings and things like that, from what I know. I'm sure there's more information. I just haven't gone into it too much.
Yeah, no, I know you're not a complete like the expert on COVID within international affairs wise, but I was just wondering. I mean, you said more than I knew, so that's actually very interesting because I know here. I mean, I've been told straight up by cops, and I know other people who have been told straight up by police that like they're not going to enforce it that well, no matter like what it's gonna, no matter who is the commander in chief, no matter who's in charge, um, they're not going to enforce masks because of their own beliefs. And so I'm like, well, service duty, something like that.
Protect and serve.
Yeah, protect and serve, right? Sam, you have another question loaded up for?
Oh, of course. Thank you for there was a really extensive answer on the last one. You really covered all the bases. I appreciate that. Next question being, which I think you sort of started to touch on, um, for a country like the United States, for our, as big as we are, as diverse of a nation as we are, with so many different divides along, whether it be class, race, region, what hurdles do you think are in our way between where we are now and a pandemic free country? That's a very big question. I know that. I just like, if you had to pick the biggest problems that are currently in the way, what would you say that they are?
I personally think our biggest problem is the mindset of the average American. I think we have like a problem of hyper individualism in this country that's been incredibly exacerbated by like, our public school and education system. I just, I've traveled a lot to many other countries. And, of course, every country has its own culture and its own like, mindset and everything. I think the biggest hurdle for us to, like you said, having a pandemic free nation is, wearing a mask to protect others. And I think like the whole selflessness part of it is a very, very big deal because in like Asia, like people will like wear masks, and it's very normalized there. Like you'll wear one even if you just have like a regular cold because you don't want to infect other people. So I think that sort of mindset is just very, very lacking in American society. That's not to say whether Americans are inherently good or bad. It's just, you know, it's just the fact of the matter. So I think in terms of like the biggest hurdle, that would be it, in my opinion.
Yeah, to kind of back up Sharon here is that like the American mindset was born on some sort of violent, like, I'm going to do what I want to do because this is who we are, because we are Americans, right? I mean, like the Boston Tea Party, anything that led up to the revolution and everything afterwards, every single action was a big action. There was very little, I should say, like minuscule, like small impacting um, actions. Most of it was always very big. I mean, everything from the American Revolution to the uh, the freedom movement in the '60s. I mean, everything was on such a grandiose scale. I think that's kind of the only way that we know as Americans uh, how to accomplish things, and it's not through minor victories. It's through either get the big victory or you lose it. As silly as it sounds to quote Talladega Nights, you know, it's that is kind of the American mindset of if you ain't first, you're last.
So I do agree with that. But I also think that America also likes to think of themselves as kind of like the main character of the world. So a lot of our, you know, quote unquote big events are big to us.
Yeah.
So we think they're really big. I don't think the rest of the world might see it that way. Which again, you know, comes back down to what we've been taught in school and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you take Taiwan, for example, they were a country that was colonized. They were a country that gained independence through violence and a revolution and whatnot. And they are one of the most COVID-free countries right now. So I think it all comes down to like a matter of perspective as well that needs to be taken into account.
For Taiwan, and I guess just to like from arguments that I've heard and kind of arguments that I guess I kind of can see the backing of. Taiwan is a very small country compared to that of the United States, as in like, you know, both population size and landmass. I'm sure that has something to do with it. I mean, like I know like New Zealand and Australia are also very much like COVID free, or for the most part COVID free. I believe New Zealand was like completely COVID free, but they're also, you know, an island, and then in comparison to the United States, very small. So
I do agree that population and landmass like definitely do, you know, play a large factor into it. I think when I was asked about like the biggest hurdle, like my answer was mindset. And so I was comparing mindsets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So.
Then I completely agree with you there. I mean, that is 100%. Yeah.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Bada bing, bada boom. All right. These are fantastic answers, by the way. I feel like this was very well researched. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not like trying to I'm trying to antagonize for the viewer. Like just so like there, because I know that there are more like there are answers to these questions.
I'm trying to be an asshole for content.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. I meant more of like, because I know that there are better answers. There are answers to these questions that are common questions that I hear within the other mindset, or in like a anti-COVID, I guess, mindset, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me, but whatever.
We're all anti-COVID. You know, nobody's out here like, thank God this is still rampaging. I guess one of the other questions on here is what countries do you think did it right and what did they do? But you've already sort of discussed that in certain regards, sort of more strictly enforcing and following these social distancing mandates, like you mentioned with Canada. I may have heard incorrectly, but I think Italy has now finally reached the point where they've lifted the mask mandate. I believe, and then New Zealand was the first to do it. Again, they're a small island, but you know,
Still a win.
Same rules. Same rules apply on a smaller scale that do on a larger scale. It's just harder to enforce. We could run on and on and on all day about the pandemic, but I think we sort of like you mentioned it earlier, talking about how America sort of the United States sort of sees itself as like the star of the story, the main actor, right? And everybody else is just a side character in the tale that is the glory of the nation. That being said, a lot of attention, both national and international, has been focused on us with the inauguration today. Um, Outside of the US, outside of our little bubble that we have with our media and what we see, what are some global issues that you think deserve more attention right now?
In terms of right now, I think that there's quite a few things that are not covered by Western media, especially in Asian countries. I personally think right now that there's a religious or slash ethnic minority group of people in China that are being held in like concentration camps. And only recently it has come to light in Western media. And, people have been talking about it for a really long time. And like, I think it first came to light like 2076 days ago, if I remember the article that I read yesterday correctly. So yeah, it's just, it took that long for something like that to be recognized by Western media. And another one is like the issue of like Kashmir in India and like the Pakistan and China border. That's actually been an issue for a really long time. So when I got to college, of course I'm Indian, so I know a lot about it from my parents, from my grandparents, from family friends. Grew up hearing about it for as long as I could remember. And I was very surprised to know that, a lot of my classmates and a lot of people like that I've met in college just don't know about it because it's not covered. And even if it is covered, a lot of it is misinformation and it's just a lot of false reporting. So I think those are some issues that happen prevalently in, like underdeveloped countries that are not talked about at all. So,
Yeah, I guess jumping back to your first one, I want to hit both things. This was kind of the part that I wanted to cover a lot because this is what I'm really interested in. Not saying that Sam isn't interested in it. I'm sure he is. Uh, I know because I remember even so Sharon and I know each other from high school. We went to high school together. We have like 1,000 and something day streak on Snapchat. And I remember in like I want to say like our junior year, we were talking about everything that was happening in China with the Muslims and all the other. I know it's mainly Chinese Muslims that get that are being put into concentration camps, and it wasn't until like what 3 or 4 days ago did America finally say, "Oh, this is a genocide." And so to back up Sharon's saying of like, yeah, no, it's taken a surprising amount of time. I mean, if we were 15, 16-year-olds hearing about this and now we are in our early 20s and now it's being called a genocide, some sort of like humanitarian disaster, I think that it's absurd that it's taken this long and that nothing's been done in any sort of way to do anything other than like Twitter awareness.
I think, and I mean, either of y'all correct me at any point if I'm overreaching here, but especially with uh, United States media, they like to listen for keywords that are really core to what it means to be American, right? Specifically from the United States. And one of those words is democracy. We're kind of big on that.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I think unless you sort of have these words that stir up like I'm not saying that anybody else isn't big on these ideas, right? But we happen again, we're the main star of the story, in at least in
Yeah.
our own heads and our own perceptions. So we hear words like when you say genocide, that gets our attention because we're like, oh yes, remember when America single-handedly won World War II and we stopped all the genocide ever? Do you remember when we did that? That's us.
You did that, no
So
help.
we're going to point the big Second Amendment finger at China and say, we know what you're doing. And it's genocide and it's bad. Don't do it anymore. And then we're done because that's all it takes because we're America.
We're America and we have the last say in everything.
It was the same thing that happened with Hong Kong. Remember those very, very intense protests? And we started covering those even though they'd been ongoing already for, I think, a couple years at that point. And we stepped in and we were like, oh, yes, American media. Look at Hong Kong. Free Hong Kong. Yes. Get your hashtags. Arm them. Be ready. When was the last time you heard about Hong Kong?
When they lost.
It's that's the thing. That's an ongoing fight for democracy. Hong Kong, admittedly, in their fight, that was more American than we are. Like, I mean, if we're going by our standards, our
Our
main
repertoire.
story
Yeah.
standards. So I think you have to find something. That's my very long-winded way of saying you have to find something that you can market to us. We like it when it's relevant to us because we don't know how to look outside of, sort of tying back into what Sharon said about our sort of rugged hyper individualism. Like it's all about me. So if I can see somebody else that is struggling in a way that is relatable to me, like I think it's hard to vote sometimes when I have to stand in line for a long time. And look at them. They're like throwing Molotovs in the street. That's also like hard. And it also has to do with voting and democracy. That's I'm them and they're me. You can market that. It's the same with the sort of the persecution of these groups, right? Specifically Chinese Muslims. It's something like religious freedom. Well, that's American. Look, they can't do the American thing. That's they should be able to do the American thing.
That's un-American.
Because this is America. They're on the same planet as America is. Why can't they do the thing? So it's sort of whenever it enters the American sphere of interest that suddenly we care. It's not because they're people that, deserve those inherently human rights. It's like, when does it become relevant and marketable? If I can't make a t-shirt out of it and wear it so people like me, do I really want to talk about it on like a national media platform?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, that's one thing that we do learn in journalism. We're going to get, or I guess, hopefully I can provide more insight into this as this semester and next semester come through, because that's what a lot of my classes are right now. I am mainly in my like pure journalism classes now. And that's one thing that we discussed even today. Like today was one of my class, or yesterday was one of my classes' first day of class. And he was telling us, like, it's sad, but Americans only care about America. And he's like, other than that, we care about drama, or as Sam was saying, big words like genocide, uh, or like words that we've never heard before at the time, like apartheid and stuff like that. Like things that are like, hey, that's un-American. We should stop that because we just finished doing that like a few minutes ago. And like it's still ongoing. But you know what? They're wrong because they're not America. They don't have America on their name. Like that's to me, if there's anything un-American, it is the American mindset, if that makes any sense. Because what I grew
I
up
completely agree. Yeah.
because what I grew up with was that we help everybody. I know, like at the end of the day, you kind of have to think of a nation as a person, right? As a body, and you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And I do agree with that. But I mean, you can get to a place, especially if you're a country as at the end of the day, we are a powerful country because of things that we've done and things that we've proven. But so if you can help other countries with that, or I guess other movements rather than countries, we should have some sort of say in it.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. America's incredibly helpful. You look like you don't have a democracy. Would you like a democracy? We'll give you one for free.
You look like your name is Venezuela.
Have you ever considered voting for who's in office? I mean, we were working on it. Like, we'll get there eventually.
I know it's crazy.
No,
I know it's crazy. But have you ever thought that your words meant something? Yeah, honestly, all the time. No, but like, your words.
Yeah, anywho. Everybody gets democracy. America is like the Oprah of democracy. If you look under your chair right now, there's actually democracy there. It's
Holy
free.
shit.
You can have it. It's free. It's all for you. And you're welcome.
Yes.
All right, Tristan, I have asked most of the questions so far. It's
Yes,
your
you have.
turn. Interrogate her.
Okay, so I remember learning about the Kashmir Mountains or the Kashmir, I guess the war for the Kashmir area. It was either in like my freshman year in like my uh geography class. Oh, do we have Sharon with us right now? She's frozen on my screen.
I see that as
There
well. Oh,
she is.
back.
Hello. Hi, you're back. Um
It like cut out.
okay, basically what I was saying was I remember in like my freshman year in like my world geography class, it was either that or like my world history class. We learned about the ongoing wars in the Kashmir, and you had touched on that. And as somebody as because you, well, you were born here in the States, but I know your parents immigrated here, correct?
Yes.
So as somebody with like direct ties to India, what's that like? I mean, what's going on? We as Americans, as you said, a lot of us don't know what's happening. I keep up with it because it's my job to. But even then, I'm
Mhm.
sure I don't have your perspective, and I know that I do, and I know Sam does, and on behalf of all our viewers, I know we're all very curious. So go ahead. This is your stage. Tell us what's happening.
All right. So yeah, as you guys know, but for your viewers, I am Hindu and I'm Indian, full Indian. So when I hear about a lot of like, the history of, like the country of my origin just being warped and a lot of like misinformation going on, it does hurt. It's like a type of like, pain that I guess Americans wouldn't be able to understand because everyone knows our history. Everyone knows exactly how we became independent, every like other historical event that's happened, and it's been broadcasted. So yeah, so when people talk about it and a lot of like false things are being spread, and people talk bad about your identity, it hits different. So it's just very very like difficult to talk about, but I think I can sum it up, in an eloquent and like composed way. But yeah, so basically, we, as general knowledge is that we were colonized by Britain, as were many other countries, for like 100 years. And so, what the British did with India is that we're a very diverse group of people. We have multiple ethnicities, multiple religions, multiple languages. There are currently like 27 different languages and like 30 plus more dialects in India. So yeah, very, very different. And a lot of the times, in order to rule us, the reason they were able to like keep a hold on us for so long was because they divided and conquered, and they used our differences and made us turn against each other. So I feel like that is one of the reasons why when we gained independence, partition was like such a big issue, because a lot of people wanted, like, Muslims wanted their own country, and like Hindus were like, okay, if you don't want to be a part of India, then like leave. And so that's basically how Pakistan was formed. And so that's basically where partition comes from, like the term partition. And it happened in 1947 when we gained our independence. But the matter of the issue was the Valley of Kashmir. Like it's a valley, and it's like in the northern part of India. It has borders with India, Nepal, Pakistan, and China. So basically, the prince of like the Kashmir area wanted his own country, and we were like, okay, fine, you can have your own thing, like it's okay. But what happened was that a lot of rebels, like Pakistani Pashtun rebels, came in and occupied Kashmir like illegally. And so the king there wanted, or sorry, the prince there wanted like help, so he turned to India, and India was in the middle of forming its own government. So he was like, hey, can you help me, like I'm literally getting invaded. And so India said, we will help you if you become part of us. So that's what ended up happening. So technically, like in a historical point of view, Kashmir is part of India because the ruler that was, presiding at the time gave like, ascension. So because of that, like Indian militants were able to come in and help out, but only up to a certain point, and that certain point is called the line of control. So up until so now we have like two regions, and it's called POK, Pakistani occupied Kashmir, and then there's IOK, which is Indian occupied Kashmir. So like there's two regions there, and the reason for a lot of the turmoil and conflict is again because of religion. So it's another like Hindus versus Muslims type of thing. And there's been about 7 or 8, I think, different exoduses of Hindus from the Kashmir Valley. But I think the most recent one that's worth noting is the one that happened in the 1990s. So basically, what happened is that a lot of like Pakistani militants came in and started like executing a lot of like Hindu pundits. And so this is like a very, very big turning point for Indian Muslims in general. Like it's a very painful topic to talk about. It actually happened yesterday, I think like 30 something years ago. So yeah, it was Jan 19th, like 1990. Yeah.
Mm.
So
So,
yeah, I think it was like over 3,500,000. Sorry, what?
oh, sorry for interrupting. I know you said something about like Indian Muslims, right? About like how they
Yeah.
it's like a sore topic for them, right? Um,
Mhm.
is there any is there any like racism towards them in India? Or I mean, American mindset, if you're different, there's probably a hate group against you. I don't know uh if it's different in India at all.
They're very much so. It's very, very prevalent, and I think it's also been heightened because of the current prime minister. So again, what happened is that after that exodus happened, there's a very dominant or Muslim population in the Kashmir and so area. And so when we were formally creating our country, we instilled these articles called Article 370 and I think 35A. Yeah, Article 370 and 35A. So basically, it just gave special powers to Kashmir. Like, you're allowed to rule on your own. When the prince died, there were like 10 noble families that basically ruled all of like the Kashmir area and they had their own rules. So basically, any rule that was applied to like a regular Indian citizen wasn't applied to like a Kashmirian person. So when our current prime minister in India came to power, he abolished those articles and he sent in the Indian army and said we're taking our land back and there was a lot of backlash. There was a lot of backlash on that. So I think that like fast forward to today, that is currently what's going on and that is the Kashmiri debate.
So, looking at this from another historical aspect, I guess, when it comes to this current prime minister and the rulings before that of how Kashmir was its technical own area, it was just that it was a very close ally to India, at least from what I'm gathering, right? Up until this current prime minister. Uh,
Mhm.
that reminds me a lot of Rome whenever they would go and conquer other areas, right? Like the
Mhm.
Germs. They would conquer them, but they were still these Germanic tribes, but they were. Oh, hold on. I think she's cutting out for a second. Oh, there you are. Uh,
Can you hear me?
okay. These other Germanic tribes, they were told like you're Roman, but you're not Roman. You don't have to pay these taxes, but you're also not one of us. And then Julius Caesar came in and said, "No, you are Roman because we conquered you." Right. Um,
Mhm.
so were there positives and negatives of the Kashmirians, if that's what they're called, um,
Yes,
of
that's
them
yeah.
being?
They're called yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear you cut out for a second.
No, you're good. You're okay. They're called Kashmiris.
Mm,
So I guess technically, like when you made the analogy of conquering, I feel like that's not a very accurate analogy because
okay.
technically it wasn't really conquered. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it was always part of India. They just didn't they just had like their own special rules. I think that was
Okay.
like the only thing. Um, So yeah, but in terms of like your question of positives and negatives, I do believe that like the economy and a lot of the rights that women in that area don't have, they have them now. So I think a lot of that stuff is really good. I do think that the cons is that, when you earlier said if there's racism against Indian Muslims, there is, and it's a very prevalent issue. And, like it's very, very bad. And there's a lot of persecution that's just not okay. So I think a lot of that occurred in the valley when the Indian army went back. And so since it was a predominantly Muslim area due to like the ethnic cleansing of the Hindus that already lived there, um they were definitely persecuted against, which shouldn't happen. It should not have happened, and it's not okay. So yeah, that is a con.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of people try to demonize like a lot of what's going on right now, like from one side or another side. And I think it's very important to understand the history and understand both aspects and both viewpoints,
Got it.
because it is a very like tense situation. So
Yeah, I guess speaking on for or on the topic of both viewpoints, have you heard anything from the other side? I guess from the Pakistani side. I know, you know, I don't know if you have any Pakistani friends because I don't know all your circles or whatever, but also because I know from at least what you told me, it very much is a like I don't know if we should be friends because of this, that, or the other, because of where you're from, right? I, at least from what I've gathered.
yeah, unfortunately it is like that. I think that a lot of people do tend to let stuff like this, get in between. And I think it's such a tense topic, especially for like generations going back. And, it's led to intergenerational trauma. I think it's very hard to not let it get in between friendships, so I think it's a very, very like sensitive issue to like even bring up in general when you're friends with someone who's like Pakistani Muslim and you're like Indian Hindu, and stuff like that. So yeah, you're completely right. It is hard. I have heard a few things from some Pakistani friends who have distanced themselves from me due to like these issues. I think it's very sad that it had to happen, but I understand the perspective because there's a lot of pain and hurt on both sides. um Again, like there are issues that they think what's going on right now is bad, which obviously it is. It's not okay, like the persecution that's been happening. It just makes me upset when they refuse to acknowledge what's been happening to us as well. So yeah, there's just it's a lot of tension. And there's a lot of like listening that needs to be done on both sides, which I think is one of the root causes of the issue in general. So
Right. Sam, you've been mighty quiet, which is a very rare thing, which I think Sharon and I kind of appreciate because we always listen to your voice. But I know it's very soothing to the viewers. So,
Here's the deal, and I think some people that look like me could benefit from this. I know when I'm not supposed to talk about something and when I need to shut the fuck up. And I don't think I have any place to sort of speak on a lot of this. So
well, I mean, like you
I,
could
I,
still
th- I
ask
think,
questions.
right, it's beneficial for me to listen and to learn. There's a lot of perspective that I think is very valuable, especially from Sharon and her background and her parents' background and her friends' backgrounds relating to this issue. Of course, me being the way that I am, uh, there's in my head, I'm like, how do I relate to this? Going back to what I was talking about, Americans. How do I make it? How does this come back to me? What does this look like in my head? Right. The only thing my dumb ass can come up with to sort of justify this is like, you remember when Mexico and America both wanted Texas, and then there was the Republic of Texas, and we were all kind of fighting over it for a while. That's kind of what I feel like. Kashmir is Texas, and Mexico is Pakistan, and the United States is India, and we just can't figure out where the Republic of Texas is supposed to be. That's probably incredibly stupid. And somebody somewhere is like, what the fuck? Why did
No,
he
I
open his
mean,
mouth?
uh, I didn't think of that analogy, but I mean, it kind of works. Of course, Kashmir, at least to my understanding, is much smaller than what the landmass and population of Texas
Mhm.
was at the time. Um,
It kind of
I
is if you
was,
don't think about the historical context or the location or the people or the religion or the cultural intensity.
but no, I mean, like, I understand your perspective. I see it, and like, I don't know, my view at least is, if anything, you are the better interviewer for something like this because you are white and uh, because you are kind of ignorant to this, and it's because you have the better questions because you don't know. And I'm sure a lot of the viewers who are white, or even like me, I mean, like, my family has been in America for literally thousands of years. I we trace our ancestors back to the Comanches, right? So I don't know anything. At least a majority of my ancestry does not know anything of the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Um, so as much as you're in the dark about this, I am too. I'm just asking questions based off of things that I've heard either through the grapevine, through Sharon herself, or just like background knowledge of what we've been taught in school. Like even down to like I was always taught that Kashmir was mountains and not just the valley between mountains. Um, so I apologize for that mistake. Um, but no, I mean a lot of what Sharon has told me is very much eye opening, and I think that not only I but everybody can kind of can learn something from this, and I'm I know our viewership isn't like out of this world right now, but I would love to hear feedback from both sides of both uh, Indians and Pakistani because I don't want to start like a comments war or anything like that, but like I definitely want to hear both sides, like a civil of like this is why we see it this way and this is why we see it this way, and nothing more than that. Just because honestly, for me as a person, I'm a very curious person. I want to understand both mindsets of why do you think this way. So that's my little soapbox. I will happily step off of it because I get stage fright. But
No, I think that's good. Like I was sort of joking about earlier, but with a serious intent. I think why I wasn't saying very much, like you were emphasizing, is that there's a lot of value in listening, especially when you are learning and there's things that you wouldn't otherwise know about, which is a huge reason of why we're so glad that Sharon agreed to come on. uh, I think it's really, really great that she offered to sort of give up part of her evening to answer some questions that, like you said, I'm ignorant to, that we're ignorant to, that we don't know a whole lot about. And I think it sort of helps in whatever small way that we can accomplish with our limited platform to maybe open up a few people to see that it's not just sort of the world is America and what's happening to us right now. There's, there's hundreds of other countries, each with their own extensive history, each with their own conflicts and turmoils, successes and failures, shortcomings and triumphs that are constantly occurring alongside us every day. That's not a hot take. That's not a
yeah,
revolutionary, epiphany. Did you know that other things happen outside of the US every single day? Did you know that every 60 seconds in India, a minute passes? It's like, of course. But I think it's very valuable to open ourselves up to learn about things that don't necessarily have to do with us directly, but are valuable to us all the same because any story is a good story. We need to be aware of everybody's experiences. None are more valuable than anybody else's. Uh,
to go off of what you were saying about like every story is a good story, that's pretty much what Duck Boys was founded on. Of course, it was mainly us kind of being like, we want to say stupid shit and that people find funny because sometimes we think we're funny. or we think we're funny all the time, but sometimes you think we're other people think we're funny. Um, but no, I mean, I know Sam and I have had this conversation many a times of uh, we really want to share people's stories. I mean, especially like that's why we were both and I know I can speak for myself and Sam, both extremely excited to have Sharon on because Sharon and I in the past, you know, we like I said, we've been friends for years, and you know, it's one if not my favorite friendship I've ever had. Um, and a lot of it is because we have conversations like this where um, you know we get a little bit more heated, and at the time at some points I was or at a lot of points I was extremely ignorant to things. Um, but I know that we, at the end of the day, can have this civil discourse of this is what I believe and this is why, and uh, at the end of the day, still walk out and say, "Hey, but I love you as a person. You know, you are still a human being that I care about, and that I can see past these purely political or purely, I guess, moral issues, without, you know, of course, some things aside of like, you know, whatever that other people believe in that we both share, like, hey, that's stupid, like, you know, racism. Um, but like, you know, like things like earlier about the COVID stuff. For me, I've always been a questioner or something like that, right? Of like, well, what about this? As everybody like, I know I've been getting a lot of heat for it within my friend groups, but I am very much a devil's advocate. And it's not because it's like, oh, cool, a devil kind of thing. No, it's because I question things because I like to know the answers. And sometimes it's because people tell me these things that are kind of seen as the devil's advocate thing. And I want to know the answer to that. So then next time that they say it, because I know anytime they say it, I'm like, there's got to be a better answer to this than like just somebody not answering, right? And so I like to bring it, especially up to Sharon, because Sharon is extremely intelligent, and I definitely take that, uh, I guess, for granted in a way of I know I can go to her and say, hey, this is what I've heard. Even if I say this isn't what I heard, I would just say it outright of like, what about this? And you know, it'll cause a little discourse, but I know it's in my favor, and I know it's in the favor of everybody else who may not think the same way, but can at least see the other side of like, hey, this is how this mindset is compared to the other mindset. And I I appreciate that more than I've ever let on. So this is my open and very public thank you for your friendship, Sharon.
Ah, thanks, T. I appreciate it. You're gonna make me cry.
His heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Yeah, it's gonna shatter here in a little bit since I'm on my third bottle. Come on, baby.
I'm not gonna let you get away with it. By the way, earlier you just said, "Yeah, racism." I want that as like a pec tattoo, right across the top here. Racism,
Racism.
and like the same font as "That's All, Folks" from the Looney Tunes. Racism.
A Porky Pig, but like have the fucking hey, we can say this now without being scared of being shot. Porky Pig, but with like the toupee of Trump, like in the middle of it too. For those who are just listening, Sam just Sam just pretended that he got sniped from his window. But we have a very pretty view of his bonsai tree. His bonsai tree name is Iroh, named after Uncle Iroh.
If you haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, you should. And that, I guess, I can't believe that that's what I've said. That's like the most that I've said words in a row after such an incredibly enlightening conversation. And the first thing that I've contributed that means anything other than my stupid Republic of Texas comment is, yeah, you should go watch Avatar: The Last Airbender or something. I don't know.
Aang is cool.
I think if you like messages of unity and adventure, you should watch Avatar.
Shut up, you dumb American. And you know, racism.
All right, that's all, folks.
But yeah, I guess. Hold up, hold up. Wait, Sam, please come back in frame, because okay, it's just Sharon that's frozen. Sharon's a little frozen right now. There she is. She's back.
I don't know what is going on with my phone.
The Wi-Fi. You got that Burger King Wi-Fi, boy.
She's talking about all this discourse that's messing with her connection.
God, be like that.
That's a bigger joke about the disconnect that perhaps we all experience from our differences that push us further and further apart.
I drink sometimes to feel something.
All right. And on that note,
Sam, do you have any final questions?
final questions.
Yeah, do you have any big questions that you just want to ask, other than like,
Big questions.
that big questions that relate to Sharon's expertise, at least of what she has shown us within this podcast.
Really had to put me on the spot with that one.
Or actually, you know what? I have a better one. I have something better. Sharon, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, it keeps cutting out. I don't know what to do.
You're fine. Do you have any questions for us, or anything that you want to kind of, I guess, leave the viewers with of I don't know, something? She's coming up.
Oh.
Hold up. I heard a little real quick. All right, maybe she's fixing her Wi-Fi issues. We'll find out. There she is. I really hope you didn't say it.
I'll just jump into it.
Yeah.
No. I just want to leave the viewers with I hope that you can listen to what I said with an open mindset, whether you agree with me or not. Yeah, and like that's about it. I hope you also enjoyed listening to my voice. I do want to go into law, so if you feel like I gave a good story, please let me know, because they say lawyers are the best storytellers. So I would like to know if I am one of them.
That's true. My sister lies all the time. She's a great storyteller. She wants to be a lawyer too. Oh, sorry. Couldn't resist. She watches us sometimes. So,
Yeah.
Audrey, if you stumble across this, don't kick my ass. Please and thanks.
Oh no, fuck Audrey. Beat the shit out of him. I've always
beat the fuck out of your brother.
I've always wanted to, but I don't have the heart to.
Gonna be at this time next week. I'm gonna be sitting here in the same exact place, saying something stupid, and all of a sudden it's just up the stairs, just bam.
I'd be so happy that we just caught it live on stream, kind of thing. Like, I'd be more upset if you just came in looking fucking disheveled and like gotten the shit beaten out of you, than if you got.
Y'all think I'm exaggerating? I've had my lip split one time in my life. Do you want to know who split it?
Cuss.
My sister.
Oh.
Do you want to know how she split it? A DS to the face. She doesn't mess around.
That's legend behavior.
Was it like a DS Lite or like a 3DS kind of thing?
Oh, the original DS, the gray brick.
Shit.
Right here. She threw that thing fucking Mach 2. I watched the sound barrier break when it left her hand. Went, crack, pow!
Yeah.
And, that's that.
I broke Janari's tooth one time with a phone. He wasn't like, I was talking to him and he wasn't listening to me, and he was laying down, and I like made fun of him for like not listening to me, and he laughed, and so I kicked the fuck out of his phone, and it hit his tooth, and it chipped his tooth and shattered the screen.
We have a fucking Nokia 3310. What the fuck?
And that was like, it was a Samsung, so it was like the next best thing.
Oh my god.
Sharon, how have you hurt your brother?
Okay, well, I'm a girl and I have nails, so I would pinch him.
Wow.
Yeah, but this was only when we were like really, really young. I think I was like 8, and I don't even know what he did,
So
but
we
we
were
would
really,
start
really
play
young.
fighting.
I was like 19.
I
I
was like
like
yesterday.
8, okay?
Now I just hurt him
You
financially and
haven't.
emotionally. Like
I think he breaks his ego from time to time, but he's a 15-year-old boy. He needs it.
yeah.
So
Ego checks
yeah.
that really gets us. Ego checks work.
Yeah, they
We'll
do.
tell you they won't, but they do.
They do. We
All
hate it.
right, noted.
We hate it, but like it works because then we get depressed for like a month and then we just suppress the shit out of it and we're back to being a man.
It depends on how effective it is. A month would be like fairly generous, but it's possible. You could do it.
Yeah. How was that roast that Addie gave you the other day? To be fair, you asked for it. To be fair.
I did, and she delivered like tenfold. So that was a month one for sure.
Yeah. My girlfriend straight up told Sam that like he's not as funny as he thinks he is.
Would you like me to hit it in order because I still remember it? She told me 5 things, and all 5 things stuck with me.
Yeah, go for it.
Your tattoo is unoriginal.
No
And
one's
I've heard that so many times. So I pressed her. I was like, hit me. I've heard that from at least 4 different people, and probably 3 of them were in the first week that I got it. So I pressed her because I was like, on the spot, she's going to give me an honest answer. I know this will go well. I'll know exactly how she feels. So then she hits me bang, 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 back to back to back. You're not as funny as you think you are. You're dry, and your voice is consistently monotone. You have no inflection in your tone. And what else did she say?
Oh, well, about the
I never know how you feel because your voice has no emotion.
That's my girl. That's the person I decided to say I love you to.
And yeah, we're in like day 3 of what's gonna be that month that Tristan was talking about. We're just gonna kind of bottle it up a little bit, and then somewhere around day 29, we're all just gonna be hanging out. I'm gonna say some shit like, "Hey, do you really think that like I'm not that funny? Don't don't tell me the truth. Just say I'm sorry. I was kidding."
Yeah, on around like day 25, I'm gonna have to talk with her, like probably on the drive up to go see you. I'll have to talk with her of, hey, make him feel better about himself because he's really down. And honestly, it's affecting his KD, and I don't play with fucking insufficient players.
Addie is really good at giving compliments to one person, and it's not me. It's Tristan.
This is true. She makes me feel
In
good about
all
myself.
regards to me, she is incredibly talented at giving insults. I usually have a fairly thick skin, but she knows how to catch me when I'm off guard. I get comfortable. One time I was sitting there and I said something and it was stupid, but I laughed at it because I laugh at everything I say because if I don't, nobody else will.
Exactly.
And she goes, "Damn, I really hate your laugh sometimes." All right. Okay, cool. I'm never going to express when I find something funny ever again.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. When the fuck was that?
I don't fucking know. Ask her. It just like, it wasn't even like we were already joshing around, like kind of like haha funny. I said something that was admittedly dumb. I knew it was dumb. And I looked at her and I was like, ah, and she was like, "Really hate your laugh." All right, cool. Okay. Neat.
It was probably one of the game nights where I just fall asleep at like fucking 9:30 at night because I just had enough of things. Addie, I love you, and I know she listens to all these things because most of the time she probably listens to make sure I don't talk shit about her. Well, I do anyways because I think it's funny. Um,
Stick around, Addie. You're gonna see me talk shit. Bonus episode.
Bonus. That's the Patreon episode.
I'm gonna make Addie pay $5 to listen to me tell her to fuck off.
All right, so to end this episode, Sharon, those were some nice words. Wow. I just I really appreciate having you on here, Sharon.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on. I'm more than happy to.
Yes.
We're both very fortunate to have your input again on some things that we otherwise really wouldn't know about or be very educated about. And I think, while this podcast is usually fun and lighthearted, I think there's equal value to be had in a serious, educated, or at least on my part, an attempt at an educated conversation. I'm very, very appreciative of your time and your intelligence and your input in general. It's been really, really beneficial. I know for me, and I can probably speak for Tristan on that as well. And I would imagine most people who have made it this far, um, there's a lot that I hope that they can take away from it too.
Hey, white man, don't speak for me. No, I'm kidding. No, he's completely correct. Of like he speaks for me of saying that. Yeah, no, extremely beneficial.
Fool
Yes,
me
Sam.
once.
Fool me once.
Shame on.
Look
Shame
here,
on you.
W.
All right, y'all. This has been Duck Boys, episode number 4 with special guest Sharon. Thank you so much for watching. Check the description down below for our Twitter, his Instagram, and we'll probably put Sharon's stuff down there too.
Oh, also, fuck it. I meant to tell you this, Sam. We have an Instagram. I converted. Yeah, sorry,
We
buddy.
have an Instagram. I definitely knew this beforehand.
It's at Duck Boys. Where the fuck's my phone? I'm pretty sure it's at Duck Boys YT. No space in between anything. Yeah, it was like I got bored one day, and
Sure, it's at Duck Boys Whitey.
Yeah, it's Duck Boys YT, not YD. It's YT, as in the Y and T. It's a Duck Boys Whitey. Duck Boys, Whitey. But yeah, Duck Boys YT on Instagram. I'll talk to Sam about making more social medias for it and other marketing things that we'll do. Honestly, Sam, I made it because I had like a third account that I used for like back when I was doing modeling and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't need to use this anymore. Yeah. And so now it's the Duck Boys Instagram. So we'll post whenever we feel like it.
All right. Good
on
show.
it. But all right, yeah. So Sam, do you want to sign us off?
All right. As always, this has been the Duck Boys podcast. All quack, no whack. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
What's up? This is Tristan. This is a post note, editor's note, I guess. I want to have a huge shout out to both Hyphen Clothing for our logo and Kid Nari for our music, for our intro and outro. Without them, we wouldn't look as good as we sometimes do. But yeah, no, you can follow them on Instagram and SoundCloud, respectively. I'll have links in the descriptions below, either on the, I don't know, I know Spotify's descriptions, but whatever. But for sure on the YouTube, their links will be in the description for all their good stuff. So go ahead, give them a shout out, give them a like, tell them what's up. All quack, no whack. Y'all have a good one.